What would you do if you wanted something but could not visualize yourself in the having of it? Welcome to another video. This is a follow-up video. I made one, I believe, 3 years ago. I believe it was spring or summer 2021. I had a wonderful viewer who said, Monica, I have aphantasia. How can I manifest if I can't visualize? And so I had to go on a bit of a tangent and explain that there are as many paths to the thing that you want as there are probably people on the planet. So you don't have to just do one simple thing. And this came at the height of the renaissance of Neville Goddard teachings, which, as you know, I've done many breakdowns on Patreon and on here of his books and chapters of his books. I admire him greatly. However, I'm going to get into something else today to update that video, and that is that someone left a comment a few months ago that I just read recently, and it was something like, "This video is terrible. I can't do this stuff." And I was like, no, I literally told you in the video of the thing that I'm aware you cannot do, how to get what you want in other ways. So, as is the case with me and knowledge, when I have a question, the answer comes flying in really quickly. And I was at a secondhand bookstore, and sure enough, this stood out to me, and I read it right away. And there is a part in what to do in terms of visualization when you're not a visualizer. Okay, so this is Creative Visualization by Shakti Gawain. Shakti Gawain was a bit of a big deal in her time, and I do like this book. In the footnotes, I mean, she definitely knows what she's talking about. She does mention Jose Silva. As you know, I've made videos about Silva mind control techniques. The whole point to get what you want, to understand how the realm in which we exist in operates and works. Number one, is very impersonal. There's nothing personal about it. Don't take anything personally. It's how God made it, so it's okay. And two, it is that you can control your mind and your emotions. Okay, you have power over those things. One of my favorite quotes is, I tell my thoughts what to think, I tell my feelings what to feel. And I know this is not an original saying, but it has surely occurred to many of us in the course of our lifetimes. So this book is quite helpful. And so I'm going to read a little excerpt from it, and then I'm going to add on my own stuff. Okay, so if you're interested in astrology, anything, the occult, how the world works, anything at all, anything spiritual, anything dating, romantic relationship, social hot topics, etc., hypnosis, tantra, you can find me here, TikTok, Instagram, and I have Patreon where I discuss things much more deeply, but we keep it to ourselves. So let's begin. How to visualize. Okay, so here she says, many people wonder exactly what is meant by the term visualize. Some worry because they don't actually see a mental picture or image when they close their eyes and try to visualize. Don't get stuck on the term visualize. It is not at all necessary to see a mental image. Some people say they see very clear, sharp images when they close their eyes and imagine something. Others see that they don't really see anything. So I'm going to pause on that point. I want something to add from my own personal experience after I read this. Okay, so she says here, that's perfectly fine. We all use our imaginations constantly. It's impossible not to. So whatever process you find yourself doing when you imagine is fine. If you still don't feel sure what it means to visualize, read through each of these exercises, then close your eyes and try it. So let's do that. Close your eyes and relax deeply. Think of some familiar room, such as your bedroom or living room. Remember some familiar details of it, such as the color of the carpet, the way the furniture is arranged, how bright or dark it is. Imagine yourself walking into the room and sitting or lying down on a comfortable chair, couch, or bed. Now recall some pleasant experience you have had in the last few days, especially involving good physical sensations, such as eating a delicious meal, receiving a message, swimming in cool water, or making love. Remember the experience as vividly as possible and enjoy the pleasurable sensations once again. Now imagine that you are in some idyllic country setting, perhaps relaxing on soft green grass beside a cool river or wandering through a beautiful lush forest. It can be a place that you have been or an ideal place where you would like to go. Think of these details and create it in any way that you would like it to be. So, whatever you use to bring these scenes to your mind is a way of visualizing. So, there's also special problems. She addresses special problems with visualization where people get hung up on a literal image, like a picture in the mind. It doesn't have to be a picture in the mind. Notice she said walking through a room, eating a meal, taking a swim, making love. You don't need the mental image of those things. You need the sense perception of those things. You need the feeling state of those things. I hope that makes sense to you. So she says there are basically two modes in visualizing, and you just take what comes easier to you. And so, what I want to add from my own 2 cents, when I do visualize like a picture or something like that for myself, it just doesn't really do very much. I've tried for years and years and years. It was a fruitless endeavor. It just didn't happen for me. And then I thought, it's funny, when I pray for a friend, when I pray for my friends to get a job, to get boyfriends, to move, to get visas, it just like happens. Something just breaks loose. And I was thinking, what is it that I'm doing there that I'm not doing for myself? And the thing that I was missing was the missing piece for me personally, which is conversation. So when another person is in my imagination, I converse with them. So I feel that it has to break loose, but I'm not in the habit of talking to myself in my imagination. So how do you evoke the emotion? And so understand, when I'm praying, visualizing, whatever, that is done to incite a feeling. So when you incite that feeling, you just run it into the ground. You just let it run until you feel so joyful, you pass out, or you just let it go and you're so fulfilled as though it's already happened that you don't need to do anything else. This is significant because years and years later, I decided to, as I do, listen to a Neville Goddard lecture when I'm cooking, as I often do. And in it, he said one line, and that's when everything clicked for me. He said, find the sense that is strongest in you, that you're most in touch with. So he says, his is the sense of touch. So in his imagination, he would create what basically occultists would refer to like a mind palace. Okay, so he would go into this mind palace. So his friend wanted to, let's say, buy a house, for example. He would imagine this house. Imagine that his friend is showing him around that he just bought this house, and he would go and he would touch the banister and make it feel real in his hand. His friend hands him a drink. He would take the drink and it would feel real in his hand. So he would feel things. He would even say he would walk around and touch it. He's like, imagine you're holding a tennis ball. Like, you don't have to see it, but you can imagine how it would feel, the weight. Imagine the smell of roses. These are all exercises that he would give, right? Like, you don't have to see the rose in your mind's eye, but you have some idea of what a rose would smell like. So he basically says, pick the sense that is strongest within you. So for some people, that will be mental imagining. Okay, for me, it's not. This is like appalling how much it just doesn't work. But for me, I've known since I was a child, I'm very like sound oriented. So for me, it's sound. So hearing, my sense of hearing. So in my imagination, I imagine my friend telling me, can you believe it? This job came out of thin air. This dude I've known for whatever suddenly is into me. Like, I've suddenly got a man. I've suddenly been hired. I got jobs I didn't even apply for. I swear to you, I swear to God, this happened. Okay. On more than one occasion, I've had friends who've gotten jobs they did not even apply for. Just given to them. Okay. No second round interview, no calling references, no doing all that. Okay. Just given to them. You can have it all, okay? So when I realized that I can do for others, but I don't do for myself, whereas I was talking to a friend about this a couple weeks ago, and he said, oh, I get everything I want when I think about it, because he says, I know myself, it's easier for me. I said, it's the total opposite for me. I do it for other people. Why can't I do it for myself? And then that's when I heard that lecture, and I said, oh my God, because I was just doing what other people said to do. And you have to remember, in this day and age, there's so much just like, there's unhinged amount of clickbait out there, and everyone just runs with it, like visualize, 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 script, 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 this, that. There are so many methods and so many paths. Okay, so that being said, you don't actually need the mental image. You need to, I don't like the word trick, but let's say convince your brain that you are in possession of that which you desire to have. So let's say it's a relationship. You can imagine holding hands. If that's hard for you, like it is for me, they're saying something to you. Maybe they have a pleasant smell. Maybe you kissed them after they applied lip balm or ate some onions. Like, you can bring forth that sensation, okay, to some extent. And people say it's illusory. Of course it's illusory, but so is the world. Who cares? So that's the first thing I want to address around imagination. Secondly, you don't need just that. What you actually need is focus. All these mental exercises are exercises in Focus. The mind is just on the loose, okay? And sometimes it can be your greatest foe. So you definitely have to tell it what to do. You have to tell your thoughts what to think. You have to tell your feelings what to feel. They're going to run amok if you don't, okay? If you don't, you get really inconsistent results. So let's think of something else. Scripting, writing, journaling. Do those things when you're in a really good mood or when you're in a heightened emotional state. So sometimes people sit down to write when they're inspired to write, and sometimes people write until they feel inspiration. It doesn't really matter which way you do it, just whatever works best for you, whatever is dependent on your mood. I know some people believe in things like affirmations. Um, self-talk. Obviously, prayer is a form of self-talk. Self-talk is a form of prayer. It's very powerful. I'm a big proponent of that. That's what works for me. But I'm a believer in a creator, so that's what I worship, and that's what works for me. Another thing you can do is, some people use subliminals. I've never really tried them, and if I have, I haven't. I don't know if there has been results. I don't know. Like, you have to have belief in it. I know people who believe them have incredible results. I just never gave it much credence. So that's just, you get what you put in. So that's what happened for me. But you could try something like that. And then hypnosis. You can also obviously try hypnosis. So get a hypnotist, somebody who's qualified, somebody that you research, do a consultation, feel comfortable with them. They'll make you a treatment plan. You read it over. You see, this works for me. Go to a session, see how you feel. I know it's cheaper if you do like group classes or gatherings or online, but look around, look around, and at the end of the day, it really is an emotional game because it's an energy. We live in an energetic universe. This is a holographic universe. So if you really, and some people will say, how come these people aren't spiritual? They're not religious. They don't pray. They don't script, meditate. They don't read Neville Goddard books. Monica, they didn't join your Patreon. How come they get everything they want in life? Because they get a hold of themselves. So sometimes people just inadvertently, or maybe it's their destiny or they're fated, they're wired or programmed to simply just understand the rules. And even if they're oblivious to how things operate here, they just have a really good handle on it. And you'll see that a lot in stubborn and selfish people that kind of wind us up a little bit. Like, they just don't bend to the will of others. I don't mean in an unhealthy way. I mean, if they say, I'm going to go for a movie and a walk today, and people are like, oh, we're all going to go hang out with so and so. They just got dumped and they're so miserable. We're going to go cheer them up. But you have a lot on your plate and you've been looking forward to a day off from everything. And now this self-loving person will say, send them my best, send them my love. I'll call them next week. I really need this date. I've got stuff to do. And you go and you spoil yourself, okay? So those people usually, because they're so tuned in with what they want from life, moment to moment to moment, a lot of things just break loose for them with minimal effort, but that is a skill in and of itself. Happiness is a skill that took me a long time to realize and to figure out even more so. But happiness is a skill. It doesn't mean that you're bad or self-centered or you don't care about humanity. It just means that you understand the energetic tapestry that we're all a part of in this earthly family and cosmic family, and that when you give yourself the best version of yourself moment to moment, day by day, life has no choice but to respond in kind by giving you what you want. So for that, you don't need any type of visualization. You don't need any type of imagination. You don't need any type of mental image. You just have to focus. You must discipline yourself into understanding your own focus. That like unto itself is drawn. You think a nasty thought, you stub your toe. Same thing happens, you laugh it off or you neutralize it by not getting heated with your emotions. You won't stub your toe. You might find $1 on the ground instead, okay? I hope this makes sense and I hope that you enjoy it. And yes, if you have any other questions for me, I'm here for you. So have a wonderful long weekend if you're in Canada. I love you all and bye for now.